My maid lived in a pigsty with a blue baby. I never imagined why. Every day, at 6 o'clock sharp, Elena would leave. It didn't matter what work was left to be done in my mansion. Her eyes, always so sad, would fixate on the clock as if every second were sheer torture. She was the best employee I had ever had. Quiet, efficient, almost invisible. But that day, I noticed something different. A blue stain on the collar of her blouse, almost like a tear of ink. It was a strange stain, and it stirred an unease in me that I simply couldn't ignore. What secret was she guarding so carefully? That question made me follow her. And what I discovered, well, that would change my world and hers forever. I got into my car and followed her, keeping a safe distance. I watched her bus leave my opulent neighborhood, crossing the city until it reached the forgotten outskirts, where the pavement simply disappears. When she got off, I saw her walk down a dirt path to a shack that was barely standing. It looked like an abandoned place. It can't be, I thought to myself. No one can live here. I parked a little further away and approached on foot, my heart pounding a mile a minute. The abyss separating my life from that place was brutal. I peeked through a broken, dirty window, and what I saw left me frozen. Inside, it was a real pigsty. Damp, dark, and practically empty. And right in the center, in a makeshift crib made of cardboard boxes, was a baby. His skin had a bluish tint, as terrifying as it was unnatural. Elena was by his side, unaware that I was there. She had put water to boil on a small camping stove to create steam, in a desperate attempt to help the little one breathe. She whispered to him with a soul-crushing tenderness, "It's okay, my little fighter, Mommy's here. Everything is going to be all right." Suddenly, everything clicked into place in the most horrible way imaginable. The blue stain on her blouse, that constant sadness in her eyes. It wasn't her clothes. It was a reflection of her son's suffering. I couldn't take it anymore. I burst through the door. The creak startled her, and her face filled with panic. She thought I was going to fire her, or even worse, call social services to take her son away. She fell to her knees, begging me through sobs not to harm her, that her baby was the only thing she had in the world. And it was then, in the midst of her desperation, that she told me the whole truth. Her son, Matteo, was suffering from a severe congenital heart defect. The lack of oxygen in his blood caused cyanosis, that blue color in his skin. But here came the secret that changed everything. Back in her country, Elena wasn't a cleaner. She had been one of the most promising nurses in a pediatric cardiology unit. She knew exactly what surgery her son needed to live. But a family debt crushed her and forced her to flee, to leave her calling and live in hiding, working for a pittance and paralyzed by fear. The panic that the cost of a hospital or a call to the authorities would separate her from Matteo forever. Her story shattered me. All my wealth, my achievements, my trivial worries, suddenly it all seemed insignificant compared to the courage of that mother. I took out my phone, but not to call the police. I called my personal doctor. "I need a pediatric ambulance at this address, right now," I ordered. I looked at Elena, who was watching me, with a mixture of terror and hope. I looked her in the eyes and said, with a certainty I had never felt before, "Your fight is over. From now on, we fight together." I took care of everything. The ambulance, the team of specialists, the open-heart surgery that Matteo urgently needed. I spent hours by her side in the waiting room, no longer as her boss, but as one human being, supporting another. When the surgeon finally came out and said the operation was a success, we both burst into tears. Months have passed since then. Today, Matteo is a cheerful little boy with rosy cheeks and a bright future ahead of him. Elena no longer cleans my floors. With my help, she is revalidating her credentials to once again become the exceptional nurse she always was. Now, they live in a decent, light-filled apartment. She often asks me to hold Matteo, and recently she asked if I would be his godfather. In accepting, I realized one thing. In saving Matteo, the one who was actually saved was me. I know this story might sound like something out of a movie, but it reminds us of a great truth, that behind every person, there is a battle we cannot see. If this story moved you, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss more stories that remind us of the power of empathy. What would you have done in my place? Tell me in the comments.